It's time for Bourbon with Friends, the bourbon podcast that never takes itself too seriously. Pull up a chair, grab a glass, and remember, a bourbon with friends can change the world. Here we go.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bourbon with Friends. Myself, Adrian, and Martin are here to talk about whiskeys from around the world and how a bourbon with friends can change a world. How are you guys and how was your weekend?
Ooh.
It was good. I worked a lot, but it was good. I had a good time. What about you, Martin?
Well, this weekend I got to go up to the lovely oven mitt-shaped state called Wisconsin. I went to a brewery. We went to R.L. Ringling's brewery, which is the Ringling Brothers, the people who did the circus. So they have this little brewery there. It's in a mansion, like where he used to live. And we drank beer. We ordered 2 pretzels, one of which we turned into a penis. And then we just shaped it as one. I didn't do it. Someone else did it. We saw somebody that was using a whip on somebody. And then we left. Not because of the whip. We just left because we had dinner reservations. So then we went to Driftless Glen Distillery, which Adrian, you were with me last time we were there, and we got I pretended it was my birthday so I could get a brownie. And then we drank
You
rye.
just gave up our whole thing.
I know, we're going to do it again.
No one's ever going to be able to go back there and do that.
I mean, my birthday's in like 2 weeks, so I mean, it's not like total lie. And you know how good that brownie was. I would have paid for it, but it was definitely worth it. But no, we got to drink their wonderful rye. So hung out with people in our little friend group. So it was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed. I saw a car on fire on the way back, which was wild.
Oh.
Hopefully,
I would just say, if you're going to go to a place that used to be the circus, you don't need to act like you're at the circus.
I didn't light the fire. I didn't start the fire. But no, basically, no, it was a great weekend. I got to drive high. I got to drive high up into the north. I'm in the Midwest.
Well, I'm not tracking.
You're not seeing what I'm putting down here.
Altitude.
Altitude.
Oh.
Yeah.
I went towards the high west. I went towards the high west of the United States when I went to Wisconsin, if you understand what I'm saying. I think, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, please, because I don't know.
I mean, it's not really high at that point. It's like a little hill.
Hill West.
But let's be fair. I mean, there's better places out there. There's Winter Park, Colorado. There's Vail. There's Aspen. There's another place. What is that? Park City, Utah.
I've heard of it.
Park City.
I've heard of it. Utah. Right?
So what's in Park City, Utah?
What is there?
Well, there's a amazing little distillery. I heard it's little tiny little spot right at the base of the mountain, right at one of the chairlifts. It may be called Park City. No, that's not it. That's the name of the ski resort.
The place. That's where they are.
Huh. High West.
That's it.
High West Distilling.
That's it.
Speaking of High West Distilling, let's bring in 2 of our guests from High West Distilling, Isaac and Tara. Welcome.
Hey-o.
Hey.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
And that's how a lead-in works. So.
Well, yeah, that one was a damn.
That one off the tracks. Jesus. Well, welcome, guys. Very nice to see you, Tara. Very nice to see you, Isaac. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. How you guys doing? Good.
Good.
We're great.
Solid. Wrapping up a long day. Ready to go. Talk about some bourbon.
Yep. It is a Monday. Monday's
all right,
Monday.
Well, I can't even talk.
It's okay.
I'm so messed up from the lead-in. Okay, so what we like to ask our guests is to talk a little bit about themselves and let us know how you got into whiskey, I guess.
Tara, you want to go first?
Sure. All right. My name is Tara. I have been with High West for, I guess, since 2016. And I am the director of sensory new product development. So I'm responsible for leading blend development and liquid quality. Everything that goes in the bottle, we make sure that it's perfect. I ended up in whiskey. I was in wine for about 8 years beforehand, and it was kind of a natural transition to try something new.
Cool.
And I'm
Wine is a good
Isaac.
place to start.
I'm Isaac. I come from the beer side of things. I worked at Uinta Brewing, also in Utah, before starting at High West in 2017. My role is director of distilling for Constellation Spirits. And a big focus of mine is High West, but my day-to-day, I'm in charge of looking after production across all of our sites across Constellation Spirits, and then I also help out with managing our contract whiskey also.
Nice.
Cool.
I've actually for a while wanted to visit you guys because I'm very big on aesthetic. Like I said, this weekend I got to visit a distillery, which I feel always has a great aesthetic, but you guys have a really, really beautiful distillery there. Like it's one of those destination ones that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. And when I was in Colorado, I was close enough to do it, but I didn't end up being able to get out there. But can you tell a little bit about like what people can experience when they visit High West? When they get there, kind of like what's the whole kind of experience? Because it feels like an experience more than just a distillery.
Oh, totally. So, I mean, High West is we'll say the world's only ski in, ski out gastro distillery. So what that means to us is we've got a really big food and beverage focus. And so our cocktails, I think, are second to none. We've got great food on site. We also make damn good whiskey. We've got a couple different locations. The saloon in downtown Park City is kind of our main guest experience. And I wonder, Martin, if that's maybe where you ended up? Or did you go to the big distillery? So the saloon is in downtown Park City. We've got 1,000-liter Holstein German-made still there. And it's built into an old livery building. So there's so much history associated with this building. It almost burned down. It was like an auto garage and a livery building for horses way back in the day. And we opened the doors in I think 2008, 2009, and have been in there ever since. The other location which is where I sit is called the Refectory. And this is also our big production distillery location. And so we've got a big distilling operation there. Got a 6,000-liter handmade 4-size copper pot still. We make rye whiskey, bourbon, and malt. But man, the views at that location are beautiful. You get elk, like the biggest cottontail rabbits you've ever seen in your entire life. But it's a nice place to work.
Yeah, no, it looks gorgeous. You guys have we're gonna get real nerdy later on. I have a question I always like to ask about like distillery equipment and things like that. But it's from what I read, it's a hybrid still, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So we've got a kind of a traditional swan neck design, but it goes into a column that has 4 plates in it. We have a defumator there, so we're able to go from, we'll call it like roughly 8.5% ABV up to 160 proof in one shot. So it's really energy and time efficient, and again, makes damn good whiskey.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that. It's the one thing I do whenever I go to any distillery. My first thing is to find the still, because to me that's just I get very nerdy with that. So I had read that a couple of weeks back when I was looking into some of your guys' stuff, and I was like, I'm very curious about this. So thank you. We'll get into a little bit more of it later about even more of the equipment, because I'm always interested in kind of the whole process and kind of getting the big picture of how it all comes together, and you guys make this wonderful whiskey. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you guys aren't too far from me, and I really want to come down there. I'm in Vail, so I'm just right down the road from you guys. I would love to come and check out your facility sometimes, and it's probably going to have to happen really soon because it's only a 5-hour drive for me, so I have no excuse whatsoever. Yeah,
that's not bad at all.
Yeah,
please come see us.
Oh, absolutely. I have no problem coming to another distillery and having fun. It sounds like
one mountain town to another.
Exactly. Right? I don't have to get out of the mountains. Great man. So I do have a question, and Tara, this may be more directed in your region based off of everything that you have going on and what you currently do. But Isaac, this may be a question for you too, if you both want to answer it. With so many different whiskeys you guys create and the amazing different blends that you guys do. Can you explain a little bit of the blending process and why the age is so important to you guys, or not so important, if you want to get clarification to the people out there? And just give us the whole background on why you guys do blends and what's the whole process for it.
Sure. So, blending is obviously core to our products at High West. And we always have blended, and we've always been so transparent about that. And so much of the distillate and spirit that we use is sourced from MGP, but we also have some other, producers out there, and we have started to include our own High West make into our own products as well. So we've really evolved a lot over the last, 5 and 10 years as maturing as a distillery. It's always been important to us to try and drive complexity by blending from a variety of different types of whiskeys. And so the simplest way to think about that would be to talk about our double rye. And that was conceptualized to begin with, a 2-year-old rye whiskey blended with a 16-year-old whiskey. And the idea there is that you're getting so much of that beautiful distillate character from the 2-year-old, but so much of that richer barrel maturation character from the 16-year-old. And when you put those together in very specific and confidential ratios, it creates this beautiful blend that we call double rye. That blend has evolved where we now use our own High West pot still whiskey in place of that 16-year-old. And so we're able to leverage our flavor profiles and our different types of whiskey to basically meet that flavor profile of double rye. And so essentially we use a variety of different whiskeys to meet a flavor profile. And at the end of the day, we can use any blend of whiskeys to meet a flavor profile as long as it tastes the way that it's intended to. And so, Rendezvous Rye is one that's really interesting. That one has been anywhere from 2 different whiskeys up to 12 different whiskeys to deliver on a specific flavor profile. And so I think that really demonstrates our dedication to finding the flavor profile and the answer through a countless number of whiskeys that we have at our hands.
Awesome.
Well, that was amazing answer.
Yeah.
And now I really want to know more about so much more. Like Martin said earlier, more about the equipment to get more information on what's going on with how everything's created to get your High West whiskey that you guys are currently making and blending into this, and everything else, including maturation process. But like Martin said, the nerdy questions will come a little bit later, and I'm a little excited for that because he and I are all a little bit nerdy when it comes to that. But can you explain a little bit of the mash bill, Isaac, then, of what it is, just so we can get into that, and then Adrian will jump into a phenomenal question right after.
Yeah, no doubt. So the rye whiskey that we produce on site, we've got one major recipe that we make kind of day in and day out, and that's 100% rye. What I mean when I say that is it's 80% raw rye, 20% malted rye. We try and source everything from within a day's drive of the distillery where we can. So that raw rye is almost exclusively sourced from just outside of Idaho Falls. We're working with Jake Burtonshaw and his team at Mountain Malt to contract grow a single varietal of rye that we really, really like the spice profile of. That's called Bono. Not to be confused with the U2 singer, but similar, same, but different. So that comes, from about, we'll call it three hours away from the distillery, and we use a yeast in our fermentation process that creates a lot of really interesting kind of dried fruit esters, and I think that it really complements the MGP spirit really, really well. When we think about, we'll take Tara's example of double rye. So much of that base spirit from MGP, it just like screams rye botanicals, right? There's like a little bit of minty character, but you get like bright red hot cinnamon. You get a little bit of kind of like clove, that eugenol character. But then when we bring in our pot still character, you just get more stuff, right? You get more esters, you get more cereal character, you get a little bit more viscosity and body. And that creates this really beautiful base note that we can add to so many of our different rye expressions. And whether that's, we're using a blend of 4 to 9 year old whiskeys in our kind of everyday products, or most recently we've released our first bottled and bond expression, which is super, super fun. So all of that right now is coming from 2018, and you just get so much of this like spicy molasses note. It just like these dried fruit esters with the cereal character just blend beautifully with our maturation strategy, our barrels that we're choosing to make for a really beautiful rye whiskey.
Well, that answers my question, and now I am dedicated to get down there sometime before the end of the year. Thank you for that.
No doubt. You're welcome.
It's funny, like some of the way you're describing that, just because I recently in the last 6 months got into rum. So a lot of that kind of high ester fruity notes that you're describing reminds me a lot of like what I experienced when I first tried rum for the first time. Like good rum. I mean, I've had fucking like rum back in the day, like when I was making rum and cokes, but like when you get into actual like interesting rums, like your approach that sounded a little bit like that. It reminded me of like kind of the notes that were coming out like when I first started trying them.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we go out to the market to either create a long-standing supply contract or even go to the secondary market to buy something interesting, we're often looking for those things that, is it intended to create a really beautiful base that we can build on top of, or is it like one of those really fun accent notes that we can add to a blend to like Tara was saying, like really drive complexity. And so we've got a lot of great capacity and capability at the big distillery in Wanship, just outside of Park City. And so, I think our team sort of looks at that as, this is the custom distillery. Like, what can we make here that we couldn't necessarily find in the secondary market to really match and elevate our blends perfectly?
Nice. I love that. That's awesome.
Well,
rye.
Now thirsty and hungry at the same time, and I can't eat these cookies until I enjoy a little bit more of this blue rye. So I'll wait.
Wait, what kind of cookies were they? You never answered me earlier.
Oh, they're chocolate chip, homemade.
Oh.
Oof.
Nice. Wow.
But like when you say that, like, are they not like do you like yours gooey or do you like them like a little more, hard?
There's a right answer.
There is a right answer.
You have to have them a little gooey.
Okay. So we can still be friends.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You guys got questions?
Yes. I'm not sure who will want to answer this, but I saw you have a project called Protect the West. And so I'm curious about that and how that helps reduce environmental impact.
So High West pledged $1 million over 3 years to commit to several organizations. One of those organizations is the American Prairie Reserve, which is up in Montana, and it's just a large reserve where the land and the wildlife and everything is protected there. There is another organization called Protect Our Winters, and that is dedicated towards focusing on, different aspects of climate change and in ways that our winters are being affected each year as each year changes, and we have, different levels of snowpack every year, different levels of water for the area. And then the third organization supports servicemen and women and their families when there is a casualty or when there is something happens.
Oh wow, I love that. I always love hearing about how companies
it's amazing
give back, for sure. Yeah. We enjoy that.
I know it's definitely like, but since we've started this, like when you find out like the things happening behind the whiskey, which obviously we love the whiskey, but to find out these different kind of endeavors that distilleries take on that are helping things, right? Like whether that's charity, whether that is an environmental push, whatever it happens to be, it's always really cool to hear about the things that are happening behind the whiskey and good people doing that. So that's really cool. Thank you guys. I think what we want to do now, I don't know if you guys want to do this. You guys want to drink whiskey? Because I think that's what we do here. We drink it, we talk about it. So you guys, we got the Bourye rye in front of us. I'm going to admit something right now. I already drank most of it before it, not like before the podcast, but like in the weeks leading up to it. And and both Adrian and Brian, they're just like, well, don't drink through all of it. We have to talk about it with them. And then I didn't listen. And I just because this is delicious. Like this is
you got to session test it, right?
I had to do
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
Like, I had to write my notes out.
it's-
Yeah. You know what I mean?
I didn't try it until today
It is
because
so
I
good.
wanted to like have the moment, but that's
Well,
me being the sentimental one of the group, I think.
and I made
I
a-
shared it. I shared it at camp this weekend, so there was
It's so good.
Yeah.
and I was on a live on Instagram when Brian and I were on there, and all of a sudden, like halfway through, he's like, "Wait, are you drinking the High West right now?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You're not." He's like, "We're supposed to save that for the fucking podcast." I'm like, dude, it's so good, I can't put it down. But I do have a little bit left, so I did want to at least go through some notes, hear a little bit more about like behind the actual creation of this whiskey. I think it's a very, 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 very good whiskey. I've been really into these kind of burr ryes. I feel like it's a lot of this different distilleries been coming up with their own iterations of it. And this is sitting up there with probably maybe my favorite burr rye that I've had so far. And I'm not just saying that because you guys are here. Honestly, it's delicious. And I have some tasting notes, but I'll let you guys go first and kind of explain it.
All right. So Bourye Rye is fun. Bourye Rye is well, we love making all of our blends every year, but we especially love making Bourye Rye. It's just minimum 10-year-old whiskeys, chewy, rich, indulgent. There's just it's fun. You just cannot go wrong there. So the one thing I want to mention first is that what's interesting with Bourye Rye, with it being one of our limited releases, it's one that we kind of play with the flavor profile a little bit every year and kind of try and highlight some different nuances every year. So with that, Bourye Rye is a blend of bourbon and rye, and we change that ratio of the bourbon and rye and use different mash bills every year to try and highlight some different flavor profiles. With this release, we our age range minimum 10-year-old all the way up to 16-year-old. We have rye that is sourced from MGP. We have our own High West rye in here as well, which is exciting. A few years ago, we were finally able to have a 10-year-old High West rye to put into our Bourye Rye. So that will be in there, forevermore. We have two bourbons that we're getting. One is from MGP in Indiana. It's the 21% rye mash bill, and then we have another bourbon that we sourced from Kentucky.
Nice.
So the idea here is that we want that big, indulgent chewiness from that bourbon character, that kind of butterscotchy, nice, sturdy barrel maturation character coming through on the bourbon. But then we bring in enough rye spice to just make it a little bit more interesting and drive just a little bit of that rye complexity. But the bourbon is really kind of the main character of the story here. So I see you all nosing on the nose. When we do sensory, our team goes through and we try to get as many people into sensory to give us their sensory notes. Because what's cool about sensory is that we all experience things differently. And so what you smell, what I smell, and what Isaac smells are all totally different things. And so it's great to get that variety of perspective.
Yeah.
On the nose, we have crisp green apple with some maple. Butterscotch, some almond, and my favorite note on this is the Balsam de Peru essential oil. It's kind of this like vanilla smell that I really enjoy.
There's even like it's killing me. Hold on, it'll come to me. Hold on.
You definitely
Are you getting notes of like
smell.
sun-soaked leather jacket?
I mean, I do have a leather jacket that I sun-soaked one time, and it does smell pretty close.
He's talking about his skin when he fell asleep in the sun.
Yeah. Very pasty. No, it's like a shortbread note.
I wrote down this other piece too that you guys had on your website that I just thought was great. And it says Bourye Rye is best enjoyed around a campfire while looking at the Milky Way.
I would like to look at the
Sip
Milky Way.
straight or with a little water, not recommended with ice. And I thought, man, I think I need some of this in my life.
See, I love that. And as people who work at it, like I was having a conversation with this, I understand that people can drink whiskey however they want. You can drink it with ice, you can drink it in a cocktail, you can drink it a little bit of water. Do you feel there are just some whiskeys that it should just be straight? You're taking away too much from the creation, you're taking too much away from the notes. that you are kind of
Really
doing a
good.
disservice by doing something like that. Again, people can drink it how they want, but like, do you guys ever feel like when you make something like, I just hope people drink this fucking straight, not like with like anything in it. Like, I mean, because this is the whole purpose of what we crafted here is to like, like as you said, it's like sensory. Like, do you guys ever feel that way?
I'm going to admit that I do.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's like so much blood, sweat, and tears that go
Yeah.
into these blends, and like,
Right.
you know, horse trading among us, and like so much emotion that we always hope that the drinker will appreciate it as the
Yeah.
distiller intended, right? As the team intended. But like you said, I mean, if you're gonna make like a super opulent, indulgent old fashioned with it,
That could be
more power to
cool.
you.
Yeah.
As
If
long
it-
as you're drinking High West, we're into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't need that. This is good.
Yeah, no, like this is fine. Would I try
This is fine.
Yeah.
That's a terrible answer, Martin.
Yeah, no, perfect.
That you
is
shouldn't have
better.
said. This is
Perfect.
great.
This is that is. I said
Yeah.
it like 50 times. But no, I will say that just because I never got into cocktails, and I never really liked cocktails all that much. But I have been sort of getting into old fashions, and would I like to see what someone like that's really good at it could do with something like this? Of course. I think there is there is kind of like that science behind it, like where you could find something that really complements it. But I think on its own for me with this one is like it's going to show you the best of it. And I was just curious when you guys are creating this because I would assume so. Like you said, you put all this work into it, and someone's just like, "Oh, ice cube." I was like, but no, it's really good. But yeah, no, I got definitely got shortbread on the nose.
I was getting some completely opposite. I was getting chocolate covered raisins.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. Let me go on the palate because this is like
I was gonna say I got it all written down here. If you guys want me to
Ruin it
validate
for
you
us.
at all, no, I'm not gonna tell you.
ginger for sure. Lots of ginger.
Yeah, we get a ton of that on the palate coming through too.
Yeah, so much. So good. But not like if I just went to my spice rack right now and grabbed ginger and put it on my tongue. It's like Brian, you'll know this. Brian, you know this
ginger.
actually. No, it's like
What
that
about
shit
the
you get.
word? What about the word candied? Would that be good?
No,
Would
seriously,
that-
remind it like those things that you get, like you chew on. Yeah, like you get from like little like
Roots.
yeah. I don't know what that means, but yeah. But no, like the candy stuff, like this, like it looks like crystals on like a stick. That's what it reminds me of. Yeah.
Oh, the crystallized ginger. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what it is. Yes, it reminds me of. Yeah, crystallized ginger, yeah.
So candied ginger.
Same thing, I'm sure. I've got to be honest, I've only had it like once. The
I
vanilla,
also
the
love-
vanilla.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Martin, it's
Adrian.
okay. No,
An arm wrestle or something? No. So
I'm
it's
gonna win.
I gotta be honest, you probably would. But no, I will say that the vanilla you said on the nose comes through on the palate a little bit harder for me. Like it's like I can get that vanilla note a little bit more on the palate. But I feel like I'm so bad at picking up vanilla notes on the nose.
This is kind of interesting because I just had this while I was hunting. It was grilled peaches.
That's interesting. We get grilled peaches or grilled apricot on Rendezvous Rye quite a bit. But I think we see that a lot. But something that we talk about in the blending lab is how do you coax that vanilla out without coaxing too much wood, structure and like tannin out. Yeah. And so that's something that we spend a lot of time negotiating through those lots and trying to find that perfect balance. And that's where bringing multiple whiskeys into the blend can really help you, because you can use a few whiskeys kind of in tandem to get to where you want to go, rather than just using two to try and muscle it in. You can have a little bit more finesse with everything.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, your guys' finesse is absolutely phenomenal in everything that you're doing, because the flavor profiles, the techniques that you guys are doing, the stills that you guys have, I want to steal for my distillery.
I'll let them do
Yeah.
Let them do it.
But you guys are doing a phenomenal job. And this Bourye Rye, I have not been able to say it until this moment. It's Bourye Rye, correct?
Bourye Rye.
Yes,
that's right.
Because how many times, Adrian Martin, did I ask you guys how to say that damn word?
You did.
I thought it was Bourye. That's
you?
what I was saying. I don't know if that's what it is. Tara's
That's what we
saying
say.
boo rye.
Yeah,
Yeah,
boo
yeah.
rye.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure she said
Boo.
boo rye.
Hey,
You nailed it.
hey, Bo.
I'm just making sure. I fucked up so many times on that
Yeah.
word. It's not even funny.
Well, now I'm gonna go for it with that.
I said bougie boss at one point, and that's a place in Iraq, and that's not right. And there's also the bougie boss
No,
pass in
that's
Afghanistan.
not right at
I knew
all.
that wasn't right either. So I was throwing out words from everywhere.
Oh.
That is insane. So we're gonna.
I also
What?
love the story of the jackalope too, by the way. I just got to throw that out there. People need to go read the story of the jackalope
Yeah, that
on
is
your
pretty
website
entertaining.
because it's so funny.
The mythical
good.
beast of
The
Utah.
mythical beast.
Yes. Oh, it's great.
Not just Utah. We have them here in Colorado.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ish.
you got that.
It's
got
like
the-
next to Grand Junction, so it's
I'm
next to
trying
you
to
guys
find the
still.
part
But
that was funny.
You get the mountain chupacabra. You get you get all sorts of creatures up there.
The best way to catch a jackalope is to lure it with whiskey, in case you guys want to catch one.
I've been thinking about catching one.
I got a lot of whiskey. I might just be able to catch one.
Yeah.
Just trying to have a little fun. You guys aren't laughing.
Oh,
no,
I'm laughing.
Ian,
I'm
so
laughing
sorry.
internally. I'm laughing internally. I swear to God, you just
okay.
can't see it.
All right.
My
Next
mouth.
question.
My grin thing's hurt. It's been a long weekend. So talking about the jackalope. So we have a lot of whiskey related questions, and we're gonna get back into it for sure. But one thing that we like to do is kind of switch it up. And I'm gonna give you a little bit of the background of this because otherwise it makes no sense. So when we did our very first, when we took over Bourbon with Friends a couple months back, we had our very first episode. We were kind of introducing ourselves, and right before the podcast, there was a very aggressive squirrel staring at Adrian through the window in her yard. It was like laying flat. You know what I mean? Like how
Story
they do.
gets different every single time you tell
I just
it.
keep adding stuff on. Yeah. Because I wasn't there.
Not what happened.
That's not what happened. No, but basically
I
there was
don't
a
think
squirrel.
so.
There was a squirrel in her yard. So then we just started running with this. Like, let's ask something that's random, that's not whiskey related, but have a little fun with it. So every single time we ask everybody a question that has something to do with the squirrel. So today's, we try to tie it in with that and had that little nice segue from the jackalope. So if a squirrel and a jackalope had some kind of hybrid baby, some kind of mutant, would it be hunted? Would it be hunted for its antlers or its tail?
I'm gonna say antlers.
Okay.
Well, I think antlers because of the magical properties.
Oh, tails don't have
Keeping
magical.
keeping nightmares away, right?
Yeah, I was thinking lucky rabbit's foot, but you guys just nailed it on the head. I'd rather have the antlers over the foot at this point.
Yeah. That answers that long-standing question everybody's been itching to find out. So,
And we've
Magical
covered how to
properties.
catch one.
thank
so.
God we figured it out here today. All right. Anyways, thank you guys. Honestly, thank you for indulging that weird-ass question.
So to date, I want to ask this to both you guys. What has been your favorite High West release?
His eyebrows went
Do you want to go first, Isaac? I think I know
No,
what yours
no.
is.
You go first.
Let's see. That's tough because I get so excited to work on every new product, because we have this yearly cadence. Right now we're working on our High Country single malt, and I'm really excited about that. But I would probably have to say that some of the barrel finish, the single barrels from our Barrel Select program that we have done, that would be anything from some of my favorites there would be like our Rendezvous Rye in a finishing gin barrel is one of my favorite things that we've done. Also, Rendezvous Rye and Campfire finish in Oloroso sherry barrels are beautiful. And so I get really excited about, we're blending these, we have these core blends, but then going that next step and using a finishing barrel to drive some other flavor complexities, I think is really fun and interesting. And it's always different. We're always getting different barrels from different suppliers or different, distilleries or wineries, and just seeing how that turns out and having the patience to wait for that, whether it's 9 months or a year, is really exciting. We had a really fun one recently that we partnered with a local chocolatier called Ritual Chocolate. And we gave them a bourbon barrel. They aged their cacao nibs in it for a period of time. They gave it back to us. We put whiskey in it for, gosh, I think it was close to a year. And then the whiskey that came out of it had this really sophisticated like cocoa note, not like you're eating a bar of chocolate, but just the really beautiful nuances that come from the cocoa nibs. So that was a really fun one. So I'm going to side with the barrel finishing side of things.
I gotta just, I'm not going to go barrel finishing because like the distiller, right? But the cacao finished product that Tara's talking about was unreal. It was like so authentic and like, it was awesome. I think my favorite High West product that we've released I think the one that's like, you know, allowed me to put my, like the feather in the cap has been the Bottled and Bond series that we've come out with. You know, so much of distilling is putting your best foot forward and like choosing the right like mash bill, choosing the right yeast strain, coaxing this beautiful spirit out with your still, selecting the barrel, but then you just have to like tuck it into bed and say, I hope that it works out, right? And I'll see you in 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 years. And you like cross your fingers. And so, you know, for our team now, it's been really, really fun because, you know, like Tara mentioned, we've got 10-year-old High West rye in the Bourye this year. But we have a bunch of volume from the big distillery in Wanship that's all of a sudden come of age. And now all of those R&D processes are like all the R&D projects and all of those times where we, you know, tucked our barrels into bed and say, we'll see you in a couple of years. They're all like coming of age now. And it's so much fun to get into the blending lab and try and pick the you know, like the very best lots to blend together to create something that like, you know, we can like really put the High West seal on. So the Bottled and Bond series has been fun. And it, from like a blending perspective, I think it's been awesome and really interesting because it gives you this really intimate snapshot of what was going on in the distillery of like a 6-month window years ago. And so there's nothing to hide behind. I mean, with Bourye, right, there's 10-year up to 16-year whiskey. And so if we need a little extra maturation, if we need a little more vanilla or like depth, we can add some older whiskey. But with the Bottled and Bond, what you made is what you get. And so there's, it's just like this really like stripped down kind of version of your spirit. And there's just, I love that there's nothing to hide behind, and you know, it's like you're putting what you're making out there.
Yeah,
well, I mean, you're putting out a phenomenal product, especially with the Bottle and Bond and the cacao. By the way, I need to try because I really want to get that up a little bit higher in elevation, share it with some veterans, and maybe put it in some hot chocolate and see how that
send
goes.
some to Adrian.
Oh yeah, no,
You're going there.
And like the even just like the history behind Bottled and Bond, to have a Bottled and Bond in your lineup, in your arsenal, it's such like a cool thing to have just because of the pure history behind something like that. And just I definitely that. Can I say something real quick?
you're already saying something, so it's a little hard to stop you.
Yeah, it is sometimes hard. I'm gonna roll. Can
Yeah.
I say my favorite High West?
Yes.
Wait. Can I guess what it is?
Yeah. Guess. Yeah. I like this.
Is it Yippee-ki-yay?
It is absolute Yippee-ki-yay.
You and everybody else.
I swear to God. Yeah, because that was vermouth and Syrah, right?
It is.
Yep.
Yeah. That was so good, and like I can't find it anymore. I used to find it all the time, and obviously, I'm assuming it's discontinued at this point.
It is. Tara, you gotta talk just for a minute on like the blood, sweat, and tears associated with Yippee-ki-yay.
It was so good. It was so different and so good. I love that one.
I know. And you know what? What made it so good were the vermouth barrels that we could get. And then when we were no longer able to get those vermouth barrels and make it that good anymore, we didn't want to compromise. And so, you know, that's kind of the short story of what happened to Yippee-ki-yay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. Mine's the Prisoner's release.
Oh.
Do you have a vintage that you really like? Is it the first or the second one? Do you know?
It's the first one.
The first one. Nice.
The OG.
Because I haven't had the second one, so I don't know.
I know I've had the first and second.
Yeah.
But I love that though. I mean, that's the thing is as much as it's like one of those decisions where you have to be like, well, people really love it, we could probably do it again, but you're sitting there like, no, it's not going to be the same, and people would definitely notice. Like people, especially the whiskey nerds like us, like we're gonna be like, this is different, like this isn't the same, like, and you don't want to. It's almost like you don't want to like tarnish that reputation. You don't want to like put it something out that's going to be less than what it was, and I really respect that, honestly. Like that's a really cool decision. As much as it burns me to know that I probably won't get to try it again or find it again, I respect the idea of making sure that it's, so maybe who knows, like down the road, you guys could acquire something else again, and something else comes out of it, and we kind of have that spiritual successor to like a Yippee-ki-yay kind of thing. So I love that. I respect the hell out of that.
That's right. We never say never at High West. So
exactly. You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
Okay, so to be completely transparent here, this Bourye is the first High West that I've tried. I'm kind of the novice of the group. Surprise. When I looked at everything that you had, the Prisoner Share was the one that I probably was like, that's the one I would want to try.
So good.
The Yippee-ki-yay, as soon as I heard vermouth, I do not like vermouth, not even a little bit. So I probably would not like that one. But to get in a little bit,
I will say, I'm not a big fan either, and it's really good. I feel like you would love this profile.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like you would love this profile. Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, I would definitely give it a whirl.
Rob has some.
The chocolate one is way more up my alley because I eat dark chocolate and drink whiskey a lot.
Yeah.
So
they go so well together.
Oh, it's magical. It's magical.
Our refectory actually offers a whiskey and chocolate pairing, a whole tasting, and all the chocolate comes from that chocolatier in Heber City.
That's so cool.
Oh, so I'm coming to High West too.
Yes.
We're all going to Utah.
Oh my goodness.
This is bullshit. Now I'm really hungry. I love you guys for that.
You're welcome.
Where I was going with all that, I actually am a bartender at a local distillery here, grain to glass local distillery. So, and I've experienced a little bit of this kind of thing. So my thing would be to ask if there's a cocktail like that you would say would be like I don't know, maybe your favorite cocktail to use High West whiskey with, or one particular in a particular cocktail.
I can't like narrow it down to just one, but I'll narrow it down to just one spirit. How about that?
Okay, yeah, that's
double rye. I think double rye is so useful in like mixology. And our daily drivers, we'll say at the Winter household, that our daily drivers are double rye Manhattan. Love that.
Yeah.
But then also like the anise and some of the like the allspice that you get from the MGP spirit in double rye, I think goes really, really well in a Sazerac build.
I was
going
to say that.
Yeah, like
that's my favorite.
Sazerac with double rye. I mean,
that sounds awesome.
Love a Sazerac.
So that you said the Manhattan, so that's almost like a very like a Rob Roy, but like a variation of it, right? Because a Manhattan or a Rob Roy is a Manhattan with Scotch in it, right? Is that true?
I'm not positive. I can't remember how to make a Rob Roy, but a Manhattan has vermouth in it.
Is it?
Yes.
You want me to call my dad? He'll know.
No, like because I can tell you right now because I just made a bunch at Hunt Camp.
Okay.
Oh.
That's interesting. Now I kind of want to try that. Like I said, I've been getting into cocktails, so I'm interested in them. I'm not completely sold on all of them yet, but
what are your thoughts, Tara? Sorry, Martin.
Some two favorite cocktails of High West, and then actually it's one cocktail with two different spirits. I love the double rye and old fashioned. I love the way the spice comes through assertively. I like that little punch in the face. But the other spirit that I love in old fashioned is our campfire, and that smokiness comes through just subtly and really evens out really nicely as the ice melts a little bit in your cocktail over, your 10 or 15 minutes that it takes you to drink it. So that's another really pretty one. And it's fun because that one I think changes more in the glass over time and just kind of evolves as you sit with your cocktail for a little bit.
I like
I
that.
think I'm changing what I want to go get. I think I'm gonna
Yeah.
go ahead and try and get the double rye and not the other one. I think I changed my mind.
The prisoner release. You don't want the
Yeah,
prisoner
I think
release.
I'm
You
gonna
want
go
the
shoot
double
for
rye.
that double rye instead. Yeah, I just bought a double oak rye a couple weekends ago, so I think
That's
I'm
your
on the rye
jam.
train. So I think I
Yeah.
need to try that instead.
For everybody in this podcast that doesn't know, double oaked is Adrian's jam. That's very much your profile.
Yeah,
And
the
I love you for
darker
it.
the whiskey usually is the better for me.
Yeah, I understand
There's
that.
so many more comments we can go
So
with
many
that right
more.
now, Adrian.
So many more.
Stop right there, okay?
You set me up. All right.
Uh,
So I'm gonna set up a little bit of a scenario for you two. It's been a long day. It's been a Monday, let's even say. And you guys go home, take your shoes off. You can't pick High West. We've been singing their praises and we've been talking about you guys. But if you had to reach for something else at the end of the day to have a nice little pour, what are you reaching for? So not High West, a different brand, a different distillery. What's gonna be kind of like a go-to? This is my kind of like wind down.
Terry, you want to go first?
Sure. Well, since I taste so much whiskey and spirits throughout the day, when I come home at night, I'm looking for something different, like wine.
Yeah. Okay.
So during summertime, that's usually going to be, any kind of a white or rosé. And we're right at that transition period now where I'm more interested in reds. So
Nice.
that's kind of where I head at night.
Nice.
You know that you found something that Tara really, really likes. If she turns to you and says, "This is a porch pounder," it's like, "Oh, yeah,
I love that.
That's a
true.
great term. Oh, now I know. You're gonna hear me say that all the time now. That's so good.
That's shit.
That's so good.
Oh
That's such a
no.
good term.
I've never heard that before. That's
Really?
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard
I
that.
thought it was a thing.
Oh,
That's
it's a
so
thing.
good.
I just
Wow.
don't say it on the public airs because of these
It
two.
is now. It is now.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
for me, when I'm going home and we've been in the blending lab all day thinking about whiskey, talking about whiskey, smelling whiskey, I need to pivot a little bit. And so honestly, lately my go-to has been Casa Noble Reposado. Casa Noble also in the Constellation Brands portfolio, where we've got CCOF certified organic agave. We've got an incredible sustainability story, but the tequila is just damn good. And so for me, something a little bit different and still having like some interesting spice, some interesting barrel character, it really brings it home for me. But Casa Noble Reposado, that's been my go-to.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm assuming tequila straight for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good man.
Good man.
Good man.
I like what you're saying. Good.
So going off some of the other stuff that just happened, and we're going to get back into High West really quick. You have this kind of cool society that you guys have, the Saloon Society. Now, with the Saloon Society, is that ever going to expand over 5 states, or is that going to just be those 5 states for distribution reasons?
I'm gonna sidestep just a teeny bit, but I think there's great ways to get engaged with High West. One of them being the Saloon Society, the other one being part of the Whiskey Club, kind of like our whiskey newsletter, and you can sign up for that on our website. And it's a great way to get clued into like when the Midwinter Nights Dram is supposed to drop, or when you can get tickets to come and see us for the Midwinter Nights Dram party. The Saloon Society is a way for us to ship direct to some of our consumers who are in just a select amount of states. And so unless that expands a little bit and we start to relax some of the liquor laws and allow us to do kind of this direct distribution, I think we're going to be stuck with some of those states for the time being. But we can try and change that where we can. So the second part of your question, with Sean White here, I have been really, really pleased and totally proud to have Sean White be, like integrated into our company. We did an opera party with him to kind of kick off this relationship, and he came to the saloon. We had our whole team there. We had hospitality and operations in the saloon. Everybody was drinking cocktails, and he spoke. And the words from his mouth were, I've been a High West fan since the beginning. I've gotten kicked out of here, and I've tried to sneak in here when I wasn't 21 more times than I can count. But it's so fun to be part of the team and to like be part of the family. I think so much of his career has been built on having snow to ski on, or having snow to snowboard on. Excuse me, I'm a skier, not a snowboarder, but it's been, I think having that initial interaction for me has really made it feel really genuine. I think that his background and our association with Protect the West and especially Protect Our Winters has made the partnership totally make sense. And it's been just, if nothing else, it has been fun to have him be around, and he's as cool as you want him to be. I gotta say that it's been great to talk to him. Yeah.
No, I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. I see him all the time. I live right in the middle of Aspen and Vail, so I go to the X Games all the time, and then I also work for a distillery full time. I'll talk to you guys about that offline. Because this is all about you guys, not about that. So I've met him several times at different locations around Colorado, but it's awesome to see a positive interaction with someone like that and give such a positive attitude towards a phenomenal company such as yours and move it in the right direction. So thank you for giving that little insight. Even though I didn't ask the question, I wrote it down and then I was just pasted on there. But yeah, it helps out a lot. If everybody didn't know, we're doing a little copy paste on some questions because there's some audio issues in the background of some of our guests, and we want to make sure they're getting the right questions to them. And that's all that needs to be said. But thank you for answering that question. It's really appreciated. And I'm excited to see that someone so prolific is being so positive and gaining such a good ground for you guys.
Oh, I'm up. Sorry.
Yeah, you are. Speak.
Sorry, Jesus. No, but honestly, that's super cool. And I've always wanted to go to X Games, man. I've never been.
It's so cool.
It's not far from the house. I'll give you guys tickets. You can go anytime.
Right on. So I alluded to this earlier. It's time to get nerdy. We already talked about the still. Like I said, I'm a big fan of learning about that. But like, what the one thing that I like, we talked about kind of painting the picture of what the distillery experience is. Like if someone's like, yes, but like if I was to come into the distillery floor, what kind of equipment am I going to see? Like, what am I going to be able to kind of check out? Like, what's the kind of setup over there at High West?
So the distillery is, one, beautiful.
Yeah.
And two, there's quite a bit of automation in the distillery. So
Awesome.
We run one distiller per shift, and that distiller runs one mash, one distillation, and all of the CIP, like cleaning loops for the day.
Sure.
They're also, receiving grain. They're rolling barrels around when they need to. And so there's just a lot going on all the time. And so we found that it was easy to bring everything together under one kind of, we'll call it like the central PLC model. And so they've got a couple different like little tablets, we'll say, throughout the distillery where they can go to different screens and see what's happening with each piece of the process throughout the whole day. And so that allows them to kind of multitask and work on the mash while they're washing the still and then get ready for a cleaning loop. And so there's lots of stainless steel everywhere. I'm a huge data dork. And so we've got a lot of sensors on the still, which I think is really helpful for, understanding what the still is doing and maintaining consistency, throughout the year, right? So in Wanship at the big distillery, we see a fluctuation of about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So in the summertime, at like absolute peak heat in the end of July, we'll touch triple digits. But then in the end of January, absolute coldest time of the year, we'll go negative 10 degrees or something. So I guess that's 110 degrees Fahrenheit. But it gets really, really hot in the summertime and super, super cold in the wintertime. And so in order to combat that, we will add a little bit of extra steam, or we'll pull back on the cooling just a little bit because we have the sensors. So I love that. I think that's important to me. Our distilling team at the big distillery, the distillers are in charge of everything from grain to packaged barrel, ready to go, sleep somewhere. And so we've got great relationships with Independent Stave Company and with Speyside Bourbon Cooperage. So we work with those two cooperages and try and split our barreling lots every week. So we have equal number of both of those cooperages, and that helps us kind of maintain consistency week over week. But the distillers will have barrels set up. They're filling barrels. They're washing the still, and they've got a lot going on. There's usually some great tunes. Sometimes it's like early 80s Grateful Dead. Sometimes it's like Queen. Sometimes it's some serious like EDM stuff going on. But it's always a good time.
Nice. And just to rewind back, you said it was Forsyth who made your guys' still, correct?
Yep.
Which,
yeah, that's
for
right.
people who don't know, one of the oldest copper still producers in the world. Do a lot of stuff for Scotland, obviously, but they have been. I've been noticing more and more people getting that done here in the States, especially with this American single malt boom. I've seen a lot more people going that direction, and so for people wondering, that's awesome. I love that so much. Like I said, to me, the production, the kind of peek behind the curtain for people who are not able to make it to the distillery. We're definitely going. By the way, you too, you people over there.
The chocolate had me. Yeah. You had me at chocolate. For real.
Yeah, I know we did.
So now you're just.
Yeah. So, Adrian, we're gonna pass it to you. We asked a lot of questions, but this might be my favorite just because I feel like this is where we get some of the most like heartfelt in a way. We get a little touchy, a little heart pumping blood through it. This is my favorite question by far.
Well, I think this is everybody's favorite question here because it gives it a little background on who you guys are and how you discovered something. And I'm going to shut up because this is not my question.
Somebody also just asked the question. So like they said, we like to ask people, what their favorite memory is attached to whiskey. And it could be anything. It could be, even when you were a kid and remembering something about your parents or something like that. Just your favorite whiskey memory.
So for me, that was probably when I got the job at High West. So I was working at Chateau Montelena, and I was really focused on wine and earlier in my career, and I appreciated spirits and whiskey, and I drank them in cocktails, but I didn't know yet how to really appreciate them. And so my dad went out and got a bottle of Bourye and a bottle of Campfire for us to taste. So that before I came out, it was actually before I came out for the interview, so that I could, say that I had had High West and, tasting those and then, kind of learning or trying to taste through flavors and learning how to taste something that's higher proof. That was probably, one of my favorite memories. And it was with my dad. So.
Love that.
Tara, I have to ask you something.
Yep.
So just because knowing you in this last hour that I've known you, did you do like handwritten? Do you do like handwritten notes when you do things?
No. Well, I am a note taker in general, but when we do sensory notes, we have this kind of in-house program where we can record and type all of our notes and get everyone's data.
Well, I was curious if you still had that from that moment that you bought those two,
Oh.
like when you're like I still had that, like I go back to it and look at it and like think, because it's like it's kind of like what Isaac was talking about earlier, like how you have that kind of snapshot of like where you were at that point in your life, and I was just curious if you still had like those notes from like that first time you ever tried it, like when you knew that you were interviewing with them, and like getting super excited about that. I think that's super cool.
I just got it all up here.
All right there, all in the head. Nice.
My
Isaac.
turn.
Isaac,
Yep.
your turn.
All right. So a couple of years ago, I think it was when we were doing Act 10 of Midwinters. What is Encore? This is where I'm going. This is terrible.
Act
Help me
10.
out. Act 10.
10.
Okay. So Tara, well, I'm not going to take the credit of this. Tara had really wanted to do something special for Act 10 of Midwinters. This is like our cult classic whiskey. It's our 10th anniversary. We want to do something really special. And so, she had the brilliant idea of bringing in some white port barrels. And so we were going to do, Midwinters is tawny port, ruby port. And so we're going to bring this third piece in to try and bring like the holy trinity of port barrels into this blend. And we filled them with Rendezvous. We put them away, and when it was time to get in to start blending Midwinters, we got into these barrels, and it almost took my breath away. I just thought it was so unbelievably beautiful. And everybody else on our team thought the same thing. And so my favorite whiskey memory is the moment when we as a team just took a step back and said, is this a lot that we want to blend into Midwinters and get lost? Because the nuance of the white port barrels is so delicate, it's so understated, and it just was getting bowled over by these big punchy port characters from Ruby and Tawny. And we decided to right then really make the push from the core distilling team to release it on its own. And so I remember standing in the lab, and we called up Caitlin Johnston, who's our brand manager, and said, "Hey, Caitlin, we need to release a new product in the next 5 weeks." And she was like, "What are you talking about?" But we were able to convince everybody, and everybody. So core distilling team, marketing, bottling, PR, everybody came together and rallied, and we were able to release this product that is still one of my absolute favorite releases that High West has ever done. I just think that speaks to our focus on quality and our intent every day to bring something that is of the utmost perfection to the consumer. And so, Encore is my favorite product that we've released, I guess outside of Bottled and Bond, but that really resonates with me. That's something I'll take with me for a long time.
I love how you said everybody was included in that. I love how you named all of the pieces and parts and that everybody was a part of it. I don't know, that was the sentimental part of it for me. I know. I'm sure it tastes wonderful too.
I'm a gobstopper. I'm going to shut up now because that was a great answer from both you guys. And thank you. Yeah.
Mic drop.
Well, that's a great way to end a podcast right there with two phenomenal answers from two phenomenal individuals that work at a wonderful company in Park City, Utah called High West.
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't be more excited and more enthralled with having you guys on.
Privileged even.
Yeah.
Again,
I'm just grateful you guys came on. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, seriously.
Thank
you so much for having us.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
Thank you so much.
I was excited
about
this one.
Before we log off, Martin needs to do something.
Yes,
it's his responsibility every single time to do this.
I've got one job.
So
what I want to do, though, honestly, besides thank our wonderful guests, I do want to thank our sponsor, Patty. I didn't say it this time. Sponsor 10th Mountain Whiskey. You can find them on all social media platforms as well as 10thwhiskey.com. Again, that is 10thwhiskey.com. Please go check them out. You can check out whiskey and get good merch. You can find them in 41 different states through online distribution. You can also find them in 28 states through regular retail distribution as well. Again, that is 10thwhiskey.com. If you guys have any questions, please go there and check them out. Wonderful company, great whiskey, great people, doing great things. Again, that is 10thwhiskey.com. And I do want to thank our sponsor.
All right. So, Tara, Isaac, again, thank you guys so much. It was a pleasure. It's an honor. I have to do just a little bit more because I ran out during this podcast.
No, and I'm out.
You guys. Oh, no.
I'm out.
I can send you more.
Please send me more. Please send me more.
I'll send you more.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Yep.
It's always
Cheers.
phenomenal talking to you guys. And everybody out there, remember, a bourbon with friends can change the world. And this is proof right here.
It is.
Have a greater night or day.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's it for this episode of Bourbon with Friends. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a review to make it easier for others to find the show. You can also check us out on Instagram at BWF Podcast. Thanks for listening.